Hello Year 12s, welcome to your next task. So this is a communication study task. It's different to a text analysis and it's different to a text production. So for this task, you need to write a comparative essay where you're comparing two film trailers. Okay, let's look at the aim. You need to explore the relationship between the context, purpose, audience, form and language in two different film trailers. First of all, what is a film trailer? A film trailer is a form of advertising where an audience is persuaded to view the film based on their emotional response. The elements of characters, actors, settings, storyline, and music are all used to varying degrees to create a sense of anticipation in the audience and to make them want to go and purchase or watch the film. So its aim is to increase box office sales. Hang on a second. Okay, so the formative task description. Before you start your essay, this is what you need to do. You need to choose two film trailers that are linked by genre. So there might be two film trailers for horror movies, action movies, drama movies, fantasy movies, etc. On a separate sheet, I'm going to provide you some examples of pairings that have worked successfully in the past at this school and at other schools. You need to watch the two film trailers many times in order to gain a deep understanding of them. So for each film trailer, you should be watching them at least 5 times, which is easy because they're not very long. They're normally only about 5 or 10 minutes each. And then you're going to use the scaffold sheet provided with this task sheet, which I'll go through later, to take extensive notes on each trailer to prepare yourself for what you're actually going to say in your comparative essay. So let's keep scrolling down. Okay, so for your assessment task description, you need to produce a written discussion comparing and contrasting your chosen film trailers and explaining how effectively each of them achieves its purpose. So when you're comparing, you're looking at the similarities. When you're contrasting, you're looking at the differences. Your discussion should focus on the following 5 characteristics: the context, the purpose, the audience, the form, and the language. Use the scaffolding tool provided on this task sheet to help you plan your work. So the scaffolding tool for this task is a must. I know with the narratives and some of those kind of things, some of you don't really like to plan your work, but with this task, I'm almost certain that none of you have ever analysed a film trailer before. So there are going to be new things that you need to look for and watch for and analyse, and that's why the scaffolding tool is really important for this task. So that must be done before you even consider beginning your essay. Okay, a tip is to be sure to compare and contrast the two trailers within each paragraph. So don't just write about one trailer and then the other. Throughout, you need to have a discussion that centres on the similarities and the differences between the two trailers. And we'll talk about that later on. In this task, you need to explain the ways that the film trailers are shaped by their conventions. So things like their narrative structure, their characters, and their setting. You need to describe the ways that creators use stylistic features or techniques to make meaning in their trailers. So, for example, you need to describe things like the music, the sound effects, the lighting, camera angles, shots, and movement, and explain what they mean and why they've been chosen by the creators. You need to outline the ways creators of film trailers have targeted their particular audiences. You've got to explain the author's use of conventions to communicate ideas and influence the viewer's response. You need to develop a clear, articulate response that addresses the intention of the task. You should use evidence from the film trailers to develop and support your response. You should write fluently with perfect grammar and spelling and well-structured sentences and paragraphs. And you should use formal language, avoid using slang and contractions. And if you'd like some more information on using formal language, this is a fantastic link that you can follow. It's the Monash University and some information that they've got on academic writing. Okay, again, this is a task, a written response of up to a maximum of 1,000 words. And I will talk to you about your draft and you'll actually know, I'll pause the video and go and grab the due dates and we'll put them in now. So the draft for this task is due on Tuesday of week 9, and the final will be due on Friday of week 9. So a little bit less time this time in between the draft and the final due date. So you'll I'll be needing to work fast on your drafts, and you'll be needing to work quickly on making any changes or improvements or listening to any suggestions. So I encourage you, pause the video now and please put these dates in your diary so you've got them there ready to go. Okay, let's take a look at the performance standards. There are quite a few performance standards for this task because we need to cover such a range of things with those 5 elements that you'll be analysing: the context, purpose, language, audience, and form. So if we just look in the A band, you need to show detailed and comprehensive knowledge and understanding of the ways in which the film trailers are shaped by the conventions of their form. So that was things that I mentioned earlier, like the setting, the characters, the narrative structure, which film trailers do follow a bit of a structure. The second thing is to show knowledge and understanding of the ways that creators and viewers of film trailers use a range of language techniques and strategies to make meaning. So the techniques and the strategies will be things like the music, the sound effects, the lighting, the on-screen text, the camera angles, so many elements which we'll go through in another video. You also need to show knowledge and understanding of a wide range of ways of defining and attracting a target audience for the trailers. So you need to explain who is the target audience. It's got to be very specific. It won't just be men over 20. It will be men aged between 20 and 50 who are interested in sci-fi. So it's got to be quite specific, and you've got to explain how they've been targeted by the creators. Over here, under analysis, you need to show a perceptive analysis of a range of ways in which authors use the conventions of different text types to influence opinions and decisions in the trailers. So this is similar to KU1 over here. In this one, you need to show knowledge and understanding of how the text is shaped by the conventions. In this one, you need to analyse how the conventions influence the viewer's opinions. So how are those conventions engaging the audience? How are they persuading them to view the film? How are they influencing or affecting their mood as they're watching the trailer? Okay, under application, you have to use detail and appropriate use of evidence from the trailers to support your responses, with any references incorporated fluently. So like we talked about with the essay, never just chucking a quote or something in, but always introducing it and having it flow into your sentence. You should have fluent and precise writing, using appropriate style and structure for mainly unfamiliar audiences. So imagining you're writing for somebody who doesn't know what you're talking about. And you need to show appropriate use of language to convey mostly complex meaning in a range of unfamiliar contexts. So they're your standards, and that's how you can aim to get an A. Okay, if we keep scrolling down, this is the scaffolding tool that I'm talking about. I'll put it here in brackets, Scaffolding Tool, which will help you to organise your idea and plan your response. So as you're watching your trailers 5 times each, up here you'll write the name of the first trailer, so maybe you're doing Pirates of the Caribbean, and up here you'll write the name of the second trailer, which might be something like The Dark Knight. So if we look down the left-hand side, there is a whole heap of information that will help you to thoroughly plan what you're going to write about. And lucky you, all of these paragraphs are linked to a particular performance standard, which we can look back at. So, to begin with your introduction. This is where you outline the context and the purpose. So think about what background information do you already know about the films. Consider the social, historical, cultural, and ideological contexts. So is it a historical film? What culture does it represent? Is it Slumdog Millionaire, which is set in India, which we know has a lot of problems with the slums? Is there some kind of ideology in it. So is it related to some kind of belief or thought or idea? Okay, also, when and where were the films made? Who were the films directed by? And what is the purpose of the trailers? So think about that. A common purpose of all trailers, which is to entice their particular target audience and persuade them into watching the full trailer so that they'll watch the film and increase the box office sales of the film. Okay, your next section to take notes on, which could also lead into your next paragraph, is who is the target audience for each film, and what do you know about the intended audience? And also, how have the trailers targeted their audience? The next section is form. So what are the stylistic features of a film trailer? Comment on the hypersensory nature of the film trailer. So hypersensory means that your senses are involved. So if you've ever sat in the cinema and watched those trailers, often you'll just be so drawn in by the sounds, by the images that you can see, and there's often that 3D sound around you. So there's guns going off in the background while the music plays from the front of the cinema. So think about that hypersensory nature of the film trailer and how it's so engaging for the audience. It really draws you in, and often you leave a cinema going, oh, there's 5 movies that I now want to watch after watching those trailers. So also consider the film genre, which we talked about earlier. Is it a drama? Is it a comedy? Is it a horror film? Consider the characters, the actors who play them, which can play a big part in attracting the audience as well. So if you've got a famous actor like Leonardo DiCaprio, then often an existing fan base is drawn to the film because they know Leo, they know he's great, they know he's just won an Academy Award, and they'll want to watch his new film. So think about the setting, the visuals that are included, the sounds that you can hear, the music, the editing, so the way that the clip is put together, the pace of the trailer. So perhaps it starts out quite slow, and then as the tension builds and the action starts to increase, the pace might get quicker and quicker and quicker and make you really sit on the edge of your seat and wonder what's going to happen next. Think about the camera angles, the mood. Is it a dark, scary mood? Is it a light and humorous mood? The tension that's created, the lighting, the narrative structure, the point of view, the computer-generated imagery, also called CGI, and the symbolism. And when you're writing about these and thinking about these, you're linking it to these performance standards here, which you can refer back to on the sheet of performance standards. Your next section to look at is the language. So think about, is there a narrative voiceover? Is there a voice speaking over the top of the trailer telling you about what's going on? Think about the dialogue, or which is the talking or the conversations that are going on in the trailer. Consider the tone of the voices that are being used, the volume. So maybe it starts with a really quiet whisper, and then maybe at other times the volume of the voice is very loud and over the top. Think about also the relationship between the language that we see and the visual images. So the language that we're hearing in the text and the visual images that we're seeing. Finally, in your conclusion, think about how successfully each film trailer achieves its purpose. So do they entice their viewer? Do they attract them? Do they persuade them to want to view the film? So that's your task. This is the scaffold that must be completed before you start your essay. And if you've got any questions, please come and see me. Okay, thank you.